国内企业的发展趋势，因为这一场新冠疫情而有了天翻地覆的转变。面对疫情下的种种挑战，永旺作为家喻户晓的大型商场营运商，从商品供应到营运模式，掌门人沙菲益三叔丁到底是如何见招拆招的呢？
So among the pandemic-related disruption, which one is the most challenging for you?
Number one, on the safety, you see, that's really something that nobody has anticipated. For example, from the very beginning of how do we define proximity, how does the virus spread from one to another, how do we protect ourselves in terms of the mask, gloves, etc. has changed tremendously. That's where the concern on how then we kept an area that is for customers to shop, for our employees to work, for our partners and vendors to collaborate. How do we do that together? So from those small details like that, we correct ourselves and we manage to ensure that all those kind of safety precautions are our utmost importance. And the second one is definitely about the change of the demand. So we can see that because of these disruptions of COVID, the change of human behavior has moved tremendously. On the 18th of March 2020, where we all know that was the first lockdown in Malaysia as a whole, the first thing that happened was the panic buying. Actually interrupted the supply and demand of our businesses. Whatever we put in the supermarket, like for example the eggs, Maggi mee, all these basic necessities that we talk about is going to be out of stock. In fact, when we look into that learning, the issue is not about lack of supply. The supply has always been there, but it has been disrupted. The mismatching of the demand and supply that actually needs to be resolved through the change of customers' behavior. The challenges brought us to understand better our demand. With the disruptions of the COVID, what we as a company, as human beings, we need to upgrade ourselves to be more agile. True test is now.
Nowadays, all retailers are moving to the digital market to keep up with customers. So, being the largest mall operator in Malaysia, has this trend caused a challenge to Aeon?
By now, everyone would agree that we will coexist together. It will not be only the online or only the offline, right? So for us, we see this as a huge blessing. And we have more than 4,000 tenants with strong quality brands. And at the same time, we have our own retail outlets. Because we have the tenants physical, because we are also anchor tenants on our own, the way how we are building into online is very different compared to those who are without the physical tenants. What we are doing now is really about demand chain. We are moving from the past siloed organization towards an ecosystem which is more circular. Our own retail as a platform, not at the end game, but it's just a part of the whole 5 pillars of the ecosystem. If we have number one, the product or services, we have the place to sell, we know how to deliver, how to pay, and we need to tell the story, right? So as I said, the ecosystem is circular and the customers would be in the middle. So that's how I would describe future of new retail for us in Aeon Malaysia.
So what's your biggest insight towards the industry over the years?
And I discovered that the reason why I'm in this industry is not of the retail industry. It's really about people. This whole thing about retail industry is not retail anymore, especially with the digital transformations and disruptions. If we define it as retail, then we are going to just limit and restrict the opportunities for us to actually grow. Number one, we have to move away from a centralized organization. What we need to really work on is an organization that has still certain decisions made at the top and central, but more than 50 to 60% should decisions be made on the ground. Number two, learnings that I have got for myself, the way how we generalize our mass offering, how we move it into more personalized. And the third, the transparency. What I meant by transparency is how ready are we to bring our business model to life and share that with the consumer. That means transparency of business model, transparency of quality of the product, transparency of where the products come from, sustainability. These are key decisions that any organizations have to make.